Not to be confused with The Wild from 2006, Into the Wild from 2009, Wild from 2014, or Kim Wilde the Singer. Hi guys, so this one was directed by Jessica Kozak. You might remember her from the TV short Scary Death House, Choose Your Adventure, although I think this might be her first full-length directorial effort, so definitely a career which is probably just getting going. And this is not a bad start at all, actually, because I quite liked this movie. It's not what you would call a notable release. I would predict that a lot of you watching this have never heard of it. After I'd finished watching it the other night, I went online to get more information about the film, and I could hardly find anything, in all honesty. There's no reviews of this on YouTube anywhere. I think I might literally be the first. And even on the wider internet, I just couldn't find any reviews of substance. One or two very brief user reviews here and there, but not a lot at all. Confusingly, if you go on IMDb, this film is called Wilder Than Her, and it's got 2023 next to it. So I just wonder if maybe this film was put out a couple of years ago under a different title. It didn't get any traction, and so they sneakily decided to put it out again under a different name. Or maybe the title Wilder Than Her is just what was initially given to IMDb when this film was being made. Who the hell knows? But out of the two possible titles there, I would have gone for Wilder Than Her. I just think it's more distinctive, whereas The Wild, it just sounds like about eight or nine other movies, which is a shame. But into the plot. So we've got three young women. I'd say they're older than your standard horror characters, probably like late 20s, early 30s, but for all that, they're all single and unattached. And what they like to do every summer is go for a camping holiday together to catch up. But on this particular occasion, they're not even sure if they want to go because initially there was a fourth member of their group. And a few months ago, this person, Bia, she died in a tragic accident. So the remaining members of the gang, they're not sure if they're ready for another camping trip when the time for that rolls around. But they decide to go anyway because this is a film and we need them to go on the trip. It's no good if they all stay at home. But you can tell from the very early stages that that they don't feel entirely right about what they're doing. That their feelings are very much all over the place. They're all still struggling to come to terms with their friend's death and what that means for the dynamics of the rest of the group. But we know, as the viewers, that more horror is going to befall these people. But will it come from someone within their own group? Or will there be some kind of mysterious killer or killers lurking in the woods? And I won't spoil the answer to that mystery for you, partly because this is a fairly new movie. It only came out in March or May, I think. And secondly, because honestly, part of the enjoyment of this film is simply not knowing where the terror is going to come from. The three friends are Amelia, Lucy, and Finn. And at the start of the movie, we see them all going about their daily lives, but separately. But clearly, none of them are in a good headspace. Amelia keeps seeing ghostly images wherever she goes. Ooh. Lucy is struggling to discipline her ballet group, and Finn is coping with it all by sleeping with other women, or at least we see her sleep with one woman. As a little aside, during the act, she wants to be choked. Now, I kid you not, this is the second time in 2025 I've seen a horror movie that has involved a sex scene where somebody's wanted to be choked. Is this like the new thing that's going around? Is it like a fad or something? Is everybody doing it? I'm not sure I'd want to do it. It seems kind of dangerous, but each to their own. Eventually, the three characters go on the camping trip, and I'd say of the three, I liked two of them in terms of their personalities. The one that I didn't like is Finn, and it's got nothing to do with her sexual habits. I just found her a really difficult, annoying presence on this trip. Now, I will say that of the three friends, she was always going to be the one most affected by Bia's death because we find out that Finn and Bia became a couple shortly before Bia died. So obviously, the death was going to affect Finn more than the other two. But even so, the way that Finn acts on this camping trip, she's catty, she's awkward, she's always trying to pick a fight. But I guess in a film where there are three main characters, if you like two of the three, then that can get you through. I mean, that's 66%. Where I come from, that would get you a solid B. But if I'd only liked one of these three characters, that could have changed things significantly. That would have been just 33%, and where I come from, that would have been a hard fail. That wouldn't have even been an F. Blair Witch has definitely played a little bit of an influence here. Not only do we have exactly three campers, but there's at least one scene where they wake up in the middle of the night because they can hear distant noises, music coming from somewhere. So they're all kind of scared together in the dark. And this is all fine, it works well. But I'd say the best sequence in the film is when they take some kind of recreational drug together and they all start hallucinating and they're seeing things and they're talking weird, and one of them wanders into the trees, and you're not sure what the hell's going to happen at this point. Now, obviously, in real life, drugs, very, very bad. But you know what? In horror movies, drugs, very, very good, because lots of interesting things happen in horror movies when the characters have taken drugs, and that is definitely the case here. Even the way that this film has been edited feels a little bit trippy at times, which absolutely fits the movie. Just the way that we cut from scene to scene, and certain things are put in front of our eyes, and we don't have time to really fully digest what we've seen. There's this editing technique that's used in this film, especially in the first half, that I see a lot these days, especially in the snazzier productions, where you'll have a scene where, okay, maybe there's not a lot happening, but in the background there's like this whirring horror sort of noise that's going like, it's just building slowly, but in the background, like, and then suddenly we'll cut to something really innocuous, like 20 minutes later, and at the same time that we cut, the noise will cut out completely, and I see this a lot now, but I like it. I think it's really cool. It's not something you would have ever seen back in like the noughties or the 90s, but it's definitely here. And there's lots of other good little techniques that this director uses as well, which I thought were really impressive. Eventually, the story introduces this random male camper who shows up out of nowhere. Suspiciously, he's on his own, and the girls think he's sus. And their reason for this is that surely nobody would actually be called Ezekiel. It has to be a fake name that he's given them, right? Kind of funny. This guy is a really well written character. He's something of a hippie, and yet he's also very misogynist. He's a misogynist hippie. It's an interesting combination. But obviously, as viewers, we're looking at this guy for signs that he might have murderous intent. And I won't spoil it for you as to whether he does go on to be a killer. During the film, he sleeps with one of the women. And if you've been paying attention to the review up to this point, you'll probably be thinking, okay, so surely that means he sleeps with either Emilia or Lucy. But no, you'd be wrong. It's Finn that he sleeps with. So Finn gets all the action in this film, men, women. And in the meantime, poor Emilia and Lucy get absolutely no action whatsoever. Although there is a weird dream sequence where Emilia gets to have sex. So there comes a scene where randomly we see Emilia riding Ezekiel in her tent. And at first I was thinking, okay, so is this actually happening? Have we just jumped forwards in time to the back end of the night and somehow these two have got together? But then I thought, no, surely it's got to be a dream. It just had that dream feel about it. But then, just to confuse matters, Ezekiel vanishes and is replaced by Bia. So now Bia is having sex with Amelia in what I presumed was definitely a dream at this point. But so I was thinking, so is Amelia secretly into women and she's having a dream about her friend Finn? Or have we switched from Amelia's dream to Finn's dream and we're now seeing what Finn's thinking about? She's secretly into Amelia, which would make sense if she's into women. And then just when I couldn't get confused enough at this point, Finn disappears and is replaced by a weird character in a goat mask. So Amelia's sleeping with somebody in a goat mask. It's like, what on earth is going on? But it's a good sequence because all the way through it, I'm thinking to myself, okay, surely there's something really important here, just out of reach of my fingertips, that's going to prove crucial in the final outcome. There's some clue here as to what's going on and who might be a killer, and I just can't figure out what's the what. But Very nicely shot. I really liked this. I can't remember if this scene is in the same portion of the movie where everybody's taking drugs or whether it's on a different night, but I definitely liked it. Plus, nobody was choking anybody during this scene. It was good, clean fun. In terms of location, I can't tell you where this was filmed or where it's meant to be set because, like I said earlier, there's not a lot of info about this film online that's easily accessible anyway. You won't see any spectacular vistas or things that make you gasp, but by the same token, they clearly had a decent amount of woods to work with here because aesthetically the film is pretty sharp. It doesn't feel like a cheap movie. It doesn't feel like an expensive one either, but it's absolutely fine in that regard. Musically, there's not too much going on, although the film does have this tendency to throw at you these weird little tracks that sound like they've been made on like an electronic keyboard or something, like somebody's been banging all the buttons and just coming out with something really weird, but it works for a film that has a lot of hallucinations and stuff in it. Overall, there's not a lot I could complain about in relation to The Wild circa 2025. The biggest weakness of the whole thing is probably the flashback involving Bia, which looks absolutely shit. So she jumps off this ridge, and the idea is that she thinks she's landing in a river, but actually it's really shallow. So I guess she breaks all her bones or whatever. This would work if she was much higher up, but from the height that she's jumping, I don't buy that she would do anything worse to herself than break her ankle. The idea that the camera's going to pan down from where she's jumping and she's lying dead in this stream, not buying it for 1 second. And the ending, i.e., the revelations when they come and stuff like that, I can't tell you whether I was really on board with what the film gives you because my first instinct was that I'd need to go back and watch the film again just to check whether the film has earned this ending. But obviously, I'm not likely to watch the film again anytime soon. So the jury's out on the ending. I think some people might like it, some people might not. But overall, I liked it. I thought it was a solid movie, especially for one that's hardly had any love or attention in the world. So hopefully, I'm giving it a bit of that today. Right, it's time to get to the bag of terror so I can show you my score for The Wild. So we've got 1, 2, 3 and a half Michael Myers carving knives out of 5. This is a good movie, actually, and I was very close to giving it 4, but not quite. It's currently free to watch on Amazon if you have a subscription to that. But even if you don't have an Amazon subscription, I would say that this film is worth a rental. It's all right. Right, we'll leave it there for today. Before we go, let's just try and look into my crystal ball to see what my next review could be. What am I seeing here? I'm seeing young people and a yellow vegetable that grows in a field. What could that hint at? Intriguing. But anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.